Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Marcus, and I'm here again because I want to share some information with you that I'm hoping will eliminate most of the pain and suffering that we as a people go through. My message is so genuine, I would like to think that I'm speaking for at least 4 or 5 billion people, of which half of them are struggling to make ends meet, and at least 1 billion of them are living off of $1.90 a day. But this has to do with all of the people on earth. My main focus right here today is we, the people of the United States of America. We're going through some trying times ourselves, and we hope and wish that things could be better. But the reality is that it isn't. And all of our lives, we've heard people say that they could come up with a plan, a program that would be more efficient and more beneficial to us. And you always say that you want to address the needs that are common amongst most of us. And yet, when you politically position yourselves to have some input, power over the system, you end up falling short. And it seems as if you're just making statements to get people to support you, and then everything falls apart. Well, what we really know is that we have a system that's set up that actually prevents the success of anyone who tries to do a good thing for all of the people. And the reason for that is because we have been taught and indoctrinated in such a way that it divides the nation, it divides the people. Some of us have and some of us have not. And the system is set up in such a way to maintain that status quo. And as a result, you're finding people that's always dissatisfied regardless of what side of the queue you're on. And so politically speaking, the nation is always wrestling with itself, with a system that cannot be fixed under the guidelines that have been designated to represent the democracy and capitalism that we live under. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is to that degree that I'd like to come before you and share with you a proposal that perhaps would do better for us. I know that we have existed under the proposals of Republicans and Democrats our whole life, and we have used the biblical references to substantiate as many of the evil things that have been directed at we the people as we have those what we call good things that happen for the benefit of the people. In reality, it is going to require something that has never been tried before. And so basically that is what I like to speak to you about. I'd like to speak to you about a power that is not a political power, but it is a spiritual power that is much more capable of doing things than human beings. In fact, this big earth that we walk on was not created and established by human beings, but as far as we know, an invisible power. And the evidence of it is that we are here, no doubt, doing what we do. And the earth, we see the rivers and the valleys and the trees and the seas. We see all of the things that is so obviously made available here on the earth that we had nothing to do with. We also understand the natural resources that are embedded in the earth, on the earth, above the earth. Many of them are seen and others are unseen. And yet they are here to support another creation of that invisible power, and that is we, the human beings. Everything that is essential for our peace, our prosperity, and our freedom and our joy and the fulfillment of our dreams have been already planted here, knowing that we would be here and we would require these things. And most of them are essential for our survival. And I want to just give you a hint of how important these things are and how they work. For instance, we have this body that we live in. It was put together not by us. We are the result of an invisible power. And this body operates with many systems, ladies and gentlemen. Systems such as the circulatory system, I was going to tell you what they mean, but I'm not going to do that. If you want to take the time and look them up, you can do so. The respiratory system, we have a digestive system and excretory system. We have a nervous system and endocrine system. We have an immune and lymphatic system, integumentary system. We have a skeletal system, reproductive system. And most of these systems, my friend, also might have a little virus that comes upon it sometimes, but we have antibodies that's designed to be there to do whatever it can to protect us from any of these viruses that would cause us harm. But the most important thing about the systems that I've just mentioned to you, ladies and gentlemen, is that while they are all unique, they have different functions, yet they work together for the benefit of the body. Every last one of them, unique, different functions, but they work together for the benefit of the human body's maintenance. And so when I talk to you about things that's so important to us as human beings, things that are outside of the invisible power, using that function, but that certain things are the function of we the human beings. And we have what we call inalienable rights. Basically what we're talking about when we say inalienable rights, we're talking about if we as human beings are going to survive, there are certain rights that must be exercised, and each of us as individuals must be recipients thereof. And some of those are, and not limited to, are food and clothing and shelter and health care and education. And each of these, my friends, whether you know it or not, just like the body, these work together for the common good of our physical survival outside of what we have within us. Now, the Creator, that invisible power, made sure that each of us would be entitled to these by declaring that each of us play a part in the manifestation of these requirements. And basically that is put in by each of us having a career. Each of us would benefit, so each of us put our hands to it. Some people might refer to it as a job, but it's a little better than a job. It's a career of our own choosing, something that we have already been programmed to want to do. And where thereby doing, it gives us our greatest joy. It is our greatest reward for being here on the earth, knowing who we are, where we come from, why we are, and what we must do to maintain our being. And so we engage ourselves in that process. And that process is so designed that it complements everything that we do. The people, all of us that's engaged in it, it complements everything that we do. And what we do is actually create all of the things that's mentioned, but not limited to that. It also creates our infrastructure. It creates the things that we call, transportation. And we need transportation because in that effort, we have the manifestation and on land and on water and in the sky that we can do miraculous things. And they are all miraculous, especially when we think about where we've come from in these developments. We have a recreation where we have time away from our labor. We have a spiritual time to deal with that which we can't see, can't touch, can't feel, but recognize that we are associated with it. And so we respect it. We have reunions and class reunions, family reunions, vacations. We travel to see the whole world that God has put before us in different places. And there is no trouble there anywhere. We have the arts, the sciences, the music, the singing, the dancing, the paintings, and the writings and sports. And all of the operations such as these, ladies and gentlemen, makes the atmosphere for the creation of peace, for the creation of prosperity, for the creation of joy in our lives and freedom, and the fulfillment of our dreams, which is most primary, or should I say very, very essential. And we also have, like they have the antibodies to protect us from the inside, from the outside, we have compassion. And we have a conscience that protects us from the possibility of corruption, because corruption will come in and do whatever it can to tear down this wonderful life. It's like a cancer on the outside. Corruption is like a cancer on the outside. Cancer on the inside, bad kidneys, any of those things go wrong, you know what happens. And so when corruption sets in on the outside as far as human beings are concerned, you know what happens. And it, my friends, this is not just about earthly things. This is not just body. This is principalities working in high places to make sure that we do not have a continuation of the love and the life that has been prescribed for us. And that deception comes in, and its purpose is to tear us apart, to strip us up. It rests on lies and the information that of a superiority and inferiority. Its purpose is to divide us, to cause separation and segregation, and allow for the confiscation of the natural resources that have been implanted here by the power of the unseen for the benefit of all of us. You find that being confiscated by the powers that are resting themselves in individuals of darkness, those who have been deceived. And most of those resources got somebody's name on it. And understanding that we need certain requirements for survival, the evil one knows that too. But in the loving kind of way, we operate within unity. Everybody, just like the body works together, all the systems work together, we the people, all of the people with their different interests and their different desires, working together to make sure that all of those things are created so each of us can have of it what we need, want, and desire. But then the deception doesn't like that, so it knows that it's dividing us by saying some are more important, some deserve more, and some are superior. And so what they do is try to bait us to tell us that we can have all of those things that we know we need, but since they, by deception and evil practices, have put their names on them, they restrict our access to them by being willing to kill us with war, whatever, to make sure that they can maintain that. And if we are not free enough and willingly liberal with our lives to stand up and defend the power that is unseen, then we will fall in line with this evil and this deception. And how it baits us is just like a fisherman. Fisherman goes out and he get a hook and bait that hook and drip it in the water, and some fish floating around, catfish, whatever, you know, your special kind of fish, flying around, maybe trying to find some food, or maybe not going to the regular food source, but see this big, nice bait on a hook and think, wow, there's something new, let me grab it, whoop, and grabs it and finds itself swooped up to become food for someone else. And so this is basically what happens within our social systems. We, rather than follow the dictates of that which gives us life, we have allowed ourselves to be bought and deceived, and all of a sudden we have been programmed to think that we can have all of those resources that we know we need, and we can have more of them. And especially those who have been taught they deserve more. And hey, how do you do that? Well, that deception baits its hook. And how does he bait his hook? He bait his hook with money. You get money and you can have anything you want, because everything got a money tag on it. You want it, get the money. And how you going to get the money? Evil has set up that system. You've heard it say, whose picture's on it, and say it's Caesar. Then you render to Caesar that which is Caesar, which is talking about your deception. Render to God that which is God, which is truth. You want the life, but if you've been deceived, you don't even know you're missing the life. So you go on and you take a bite off that hook. You grab that money. And so now you're trying to amass a certain amount of money so you can do the various things that normally come to you just by being you, just by being free and social to one another and working unifiedly. But now you're working, struggling for that money, and they can work the heck out of you on jobs you don't even like just to get that money. But you're depending on it. And who's going to come around and tell you about something else? Who's going to come around and say to you that we have had kings and queens and pharaohs and Caesars. We've had dictators and presidents and emperors. And out of all of these people who want to put themselves on that throne, talking about helping us, giving us the benefits of what we actually desire, it has never happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, the truth of the matter is that it's not going to happen. It has never happened. And we also have been programmed to believe that if we just be docile and just wait around and don't rock the boat, that one day there's going to be a spiritual power that you can see, not going to be spiritual anymore, riding down on a cloud. It's going to come here and got us convinced that if we don't rock the boat, that it's going to deliver us. And those who we see operating in evil is going to destroy them. We have bought into that. We believe that. And so we sit back and don't do anything. We just allow it to happen and cry out. Right now we have one of the most evil people as president of the United States we've ever had. He walks around claiming himself to be the greatest president of them all. That he has done more magnificent things for this country and the people of this country than any of the presidents. That he's number one, the most magnificent man. And see, ladies and gentlemen, when I say this, I'd like for you to know that this is not new. The spiritual power that I keep telling you about loves you, prepared for you. There was a time that he sent to you, one that is saying to you the very things that I'm saying to you now, offering you peace and prosperity and those things that you want so badly, offering it to you. But you had been trained to believe that when it come, it was going to come in a different package. You didn't really focus on the message, you focused on the messenger. When it came before, it came by the way of a black man. Now, you've been taught that if it's black, get back. You don't want to go that way. Not only that, it didn't have any money. So it got to be a con artist. At least that's the way you've been trained to believe. But you also trained to believe that if you're white, you're right, and you got money, you can't miss. And so this man, knowing that, just decided that he would come before you with all of the lies that was essential to tell you. And he met the first criteria, he was white. The second criteria, he said he had billions of dollars. And then Josh, Bernard! He said he had billions of dollars, and so that really had you. And he said he cared about you, that he was going to do for you what no other has ever done. That people had come to you, wanted to serve you, didn't have any money, so they were bought by others who had money. But he didn't need them. He had his own money. And you loved that lie, and you bought into it. Only to find out that when he came to the game, he was taking your money, giving it to people who had money. He wasn't giving it to you. And then telling you he was going to do great things, things to address what you had been taught to hate. You've been taught to despise other races, and so those people who have come in here, he was going to make sure that they couldn't come in here. He's going to lift them up as druggers and rapers and all kind of criminals. He was going to prevent them. He's going to build you a wall to keep them out. And he was going to be so fantastic a deliverer, he was going to cause your people, enemy, to build that wall to keep those people from coming in here. And you bought into it like white on rice. But now this man was just a deceiver, and he has not been able to deliver any of those things to you. But yet he is such a deceiver that though he has failed to deliver stuff, he has presented the lies to you to make you think that it's other people's fault why he hasn't. And many and millions of you have gravitated toward giving him your support, knowing that he is a liar, knowing that he's a bigot, knowing that he's a racist. You say it's okay, as long as you can ride on his coattail and may get something, especially since he's degrading and putting other people down to make you believe he does not care about them at all, and he doesn't. And he's calling on that lack of compassion that you have for one another to build up. so that you can give him that support. And that's one way of the big trick being played. And yet again, ladies and gentlemen, expressing the truth, the other political party, the Democrats, they are working from the same playbook. Now, truth of the matter is, they are not as evil as this one. This is the most evil representative you've had. And so the Democrats are saying, there's many of them trying to get your vote. They're saying, if you can vote for this evil person, you definitely can vote for them, because they are not half as bad as he is. But what they're not recognizing is that they are not promoting and offering the good things that you really want. And so you look at them as being the offer that has allowed you to come to the point that you're in. And since you're there, you're not going to give it up for more of what you used to have. And so I understand that in order for you to go forward, the people are going to have to be offered the best, the greatest that any time has ever, and no politician has ever delivered it to them. So you must be able to articulate a message to help them understand that this can happen. And I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that it can happen. I propose that we the people agree to look after one another and protect each other from any and all invasions upon our human existence. Anything that would infringe upon our existence, our peace, our freedom, our joy, and the fulfillment of our dreams. I further propose that the only one capable of protecting is the provider. That which is needed for the fulfillment of all our dreams is the one that assures it. Now, who can assure it? The invisible power that created the earth, that stored within it, on it, above it, seen and unseen, every resource necessary for our human survival and our joy. The power also responsible for our existence. I propose further that God, the invisible power, is the only power to lead us human beings and should sit on the throne of authority, living through the lives of us all. So I'm saying, take whatever man wants to be on the throne and put God on the throne, and allow the power of God and the unity and the love of God to be invested within us, and we be instrumental in allowing it to come forth, so that we can accomplish the things that this invisible God would desire of us. And by so doing, we would be protecting ourselves from all of the deceit, all of the lies, all of the confusion that would try to come at us. And it would not be available or essentially successful in its efforts, because we will be instruments of love. We have learned the truth. We are walking according to the truth. And we cannot be misled any further, because where they're trying to take us, we have been there. And it is necessary, I propose, that we should reveal this wonderful, beautiful life under the rule, engaging all the citizens in every city in this state, every city, the people of the city who hear this message. My hope is that this would be such a satisfying message to you, such a hopeful message, that you would start talking with one another, your family, your friends, your co-workers, people down the street. Come together saying that there is hope. Let's keep hope alive and make it real. And that you would gather yourselves together, that you would start agreeing and understanding that everything that we've ever tried before has always failed. And now we're trying something new that's going to be empowered by us, we the people, not a politician, but we the people are going to guarantee this to ourselves. And so we go to our local authorities, go to our mayors and our aldermen, and give them this proposal, understanding that they can't really help us because they are keepers of the system. But we don't stop there. All of the cities that have gone to these mayors, now we congregate ourselves and go to the state. And we tell our state legislators and our governors that we have matured. We are no fools any longer. And we demand to be respected. And we are not going to accept anything that would not respect us. and give them the ball, knowing that they cannot and will not be able to meet our demands because they themselves are keepers of the system. But now we have come together and we understand that all of the people in all of the cities, in every state, coming together, unified to go to the nation with one common demand, and that is for peace and freedom and joy and the fulfillment of our dreams and peace, knowing that our federal government, our national government will resist this because it is being governed by that higher power, the one we call powers of principalities, that has nothing to do with our physical stuff. It's the spiritual realm that's doing and causing all this stuff to happen. But what has happened now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come together as a nation of people, led by that desire to be humble and respectful to one another, to unify ourselves, to engage ourselves, to receive and operate within the powers of love that says your body works together because of the operation of all of the systems working together for the common good. And now you, the people, with all your different gifts working together for a same common good, working together to maintain it, and we need it and will not allow anyone to, or any virus to infringe upon our peace and our freedom and our prosperity and our joy. Now we have come to this point, and by having done that, we would have rejected evil. We would have rejected what you call a devil. We would have rejected what you call Satan. And that allows that spiritual power to really truly magnify itself, not by coming down, but by building itself up robustly in us to assure that we now don't look for God out of heaven to come down on a cloud. We don't look for anything outside of ourselves to do anything but that which we are empowered to do ourselves, and actually magnify and create heaven here on earth, what we might call paradise. And ladies and gentlemen, I bring that message to you because it really is a message about change. And I bring it to you because I'm not speaking to you about a biblical God. I'm speaking to you about a spiritual God that talks to us, that will talk to us. We have been led to believe that God, that spiritual God, cannot talk to us. It talked to some dead men in a book. That is not to say that God didn't talk to them, but humankind, we always say, are frail and we always fall short. Well, if that happens, then so did it happen to them. But if he found a way to communicate to them, then that same power, that same God can find a way to communicate to us. And anybody who says he can't is lying to you and want to be able to use the words of those dead men to keep us confused. So we don't have to listen to that. When we allow God to speak to us ourselves, we know God talking to us, and we don't need a book to tell us that. We got our own truth that God is real and in. And we can be more related to that and have more power by our own truth governed by God than anything that can come in a book. In fact, we can write a New Testament with the lives and the expressions of God through our lives to take us on into generations and generations to come. So I'm not talking about that God in that book. I'm talking about a God that reached down, and so many of us have found ourselves receiving miraculous benefits. And we are alive today because of miracles. And that miracle was not just to say that any of us were more important than others who perhaps found themselves in the same situation that we found ourselves in, but did not accept it and are not here today. But we have a responsibility. There is no doubt in our minds. There's no doubt in our reality about God. We know we exist because God has proven himself beyond measure, that we can stand before you with authority and talk to you about God, to tell you about God's love, because God showed his love to us. And by so doing, we can speak to you about love. We understand love. We recognize that the best love, the greatest love, is that we give ourselves to one another to create those things that are so common amongst us that we all need, want, and desire. And so, friends, this is what I take my time to speak to you about. I'm basically saying to you, your president wants a second term. Only a fool. And there are many of us are fools. I'm not trying to put you down, but I'm just saying you misled, really misled, would want to put him in office again. And even still another fool would have to be looking for a Democrat, thinking that they can do anything for us. When the system has so divided us, Republicans and Democrats, till it doesn't matter who's there. You got a division, you got dissension, and every effort can be made to destroy whatever you're trying to do. So I'm proposing that you put all that stuff aside. All of that is from the devil God. And so what we do is allow the true God, the true spirit of love, to come down spiritually and embed itself in us, to unify us, to put us together, and allow us to work together just like the systems of our body, and create this paradise on earth. We don't have to go that way any longer. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is my message to you today. We got to change. Whatever America is a bunch of hellishness. But it's not just America, it's the rest of the world. And it would be expedient that the rest of the world change. We say we are leaders, so let us change. Let us not build walls, but bridges. Let us use those bridges so once we make our change and we start receiving the benefits of a glorious life of paradise on earth, then we not only can allow others to benefit from it, but walk across those bridges and go to places where people are being murdered, where people are being killed, where people are being oppressed, to expose that ugliness by bringing to it a light of joy, a light of love, a light that would draw every dumb, beat down, hopeless person up out of the grave and say, we want this. And I guarantee you, no dictator will be able to keep them down. No evil will be able to keep them down, because we will be and are the light of light, the salt of earth, love letters to the world. Now, they mentioned that in the book too, but I'm telling you the reality, not the book, the reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end that about here, and I hope, God bless, that something has been said here that will allow us to recognize that no longer do we have to walk in the infestations of hatred and racism and bigotry and evil. We can live joyously in peace, in prosperity, in freedom, in joy, and the fulfillment of our dreams. So I'm asking, ladies and gentlemen, that if you need to repeat this and watch this video over and over, please do. And begin to act on it. This is not just talk. Act on it. I'm out here trying to speak to people. I'm out here trying to organize people to come together in these community endeavors and do the things that I just shared with you. We talking about 2020. By the time 2020 comes here, every city, every state should recognize and have risen to the occasion for which I've spoken here and made a decision that we're not going to be misled anymore. We're not going to be deceived anymore, because we're not getting our directions from men. We're getting our direction from a power we cannot see, we cannot touch, we cannot feel, but the evidence of all existence is here indicating that it exists. And that which destroys it is something that we get to get rid of, because we gave it life. And now we're claiming our power back, and we're going to give love life. We're going to give that love power life. And we will be the recipients of its benefit. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eddie Marcus. And I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. And have a God-blessed day. But get busy. Bye-bye.